Ray Dalio, a well-known American investor, hedge fund manager, and author on the dynamics of world orders, wars, and the cyclical nature of economic and geopolitical systems. He draws parallels between the end of wars and the emergence of new orders within countries, particularly focusing on the aftermath of World War II and the subsequent rise of the American world order.
The world order was made in 1945 at the end of a war. And a civil war can begin a new order inside of a country. The Chinese Civil War began their new order 1949. And so that's like a new beginning. They always come out of wars. And a war is a fight for how the system works. So we'll begin there. After the fight of how the system works, it's a great leveler. It gets rid of a lot of the debts and it starts over. And then there's a new power. In the United States, the New World Order, it was an American world order because the United States won World War II. It had 80% of the world's gold. Gold was money. It had the dominant military power. It had nuclear weapons. And because of that, we began the American world order. They carve up the world. Here are the borders. This group gets this piece and so on and so forth. And then they begin. And by the way, this has happened repeatedly throughout history. And so they start off with those new rules of the game. And you enter a period of peace and prosperity. And it's peace because nobody wants to fight the dominant power. The dominant power won. And there's a change in psychology really that you're dealing with. Because quite often, these things take place, they take a generation or more to take place, a lifetime. And the people who enter the war do so boldly. But everybody who enters the war and then goes through the war wish they never went through the war because it's so terrible. But they come out and the war is over. They want peace, they want productivity, and so on. And it's a great leveler, less wealth gaps and so on. And they work well together and they build a period of peace and prosperity that is a long period of peace and prosperity. But during that peace and prosperity, more and more prosperity takes place, and they increasingly bet on that prosperity. And people get more in debt. And so you see the debt levels rise, and you see naturally as prosperity comes, it comes in unequal ways, and some get richer than others. And so wealth gaps rise. And then those wealth gaps increasingly create opportunity gaps because the rich people have more resources to educate their children and of them the benefits. And so that happens over a period of time while the economy gets more indebted. And of course, as time progresses, other countries also rise. Those maybe that even lost the war, like Germany and Japan, they rebuild and they become competitors. And so what was a unique power of having won the war becomes less unique as there was more competition. And then you get a new generation of people who have a different mentality. They get used to those benefits and so on. And they are, let's say, less cautious in their financial behavior and so on. And so the classic ingredient also is that that country that wins the war also has the world's reserve currency. Because, okay, you need a currency to transact internationally. It's like a language, you need a language to transact internationally. And the winner of the war gets the world's reserve currency because everybody thinks that's the most stable, and they also want to save in it.
Ray Dalio outlines a cyclical pattern in which wars bring about new world orders, characterized by a reshuffling of power, geopolitical boundaries, and economic systems. He emphasizes the significance of the United States' dominance after World War II, which led to the establishment of the American world order. Dalio also underscores the potential consequences of increasing prosperity, rising debt levels, and widening wealth gaps within these periods of peace and prosperity. As a prominent figure in the financial world, Dalio's insights provide a thought-provoking perspective on the interplay between historical events, economic forces, and the shaping of global systems.